birds this morning. There's some corellas over there waiting for their breakfast. And there's kookaburras here waiting. Yes, good morning to you too. I know, you're hungry, aren't you? And over here, more corellas. Everybody's waiting for breakfast. 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning. And why am I out of bed? I don't know. Oh, the dogs always get me up. I get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock every day. Because I close the doggy door at night, just in case there's, I don't know, foxes, snakes. You're going to sit over there, are you? Hello. So, yeah, the dogs can't get out at night, so I have to get up early, open the doggy door, and then let them out into the garden and feed them, and then come out and feed the birds. They've got a little bit of food left over from yesterday afternoon. The kookaburras are being impatient. They've come over here and sat on my chair. Oh, you're coming too, are you? Oh, he nearly flew at me. He turned just as he got to me. All right. What's up? Hey, what's up? G'day guys, welcome back. I'm going to do another of the diagonal paws, but I'm just going to do a little practice one on my card here. Only because I'm trying out this new metallic paint that I've got. So I'll have to have a little bit of a play with it and see what the consistency is like. So I've got the Sargent's liquid metal in the silver, metallic silver, and again in the metallic gold. So it's really quite thin when I pour it out of that bottle. So I've had to mix it 2 parts paint to 1 part pouring medium. So it doesn't really drip off very well, but the feeling of it, I'm just trying to get it to the same feeling as my other paints. But as I said, when it drips off, it's different. So that's why I'm going to have a little bit of a play with it. Did you see my Mexican theme pour that I did the other day? That's it there. I don't know that the whole thing's going to fit in the frame. Well, it might do. So that was it there. That was when I flipped and dragged on the diagonal like that, tilted the whole surface, and then I torched selectively. So I'm going to do that again, but with the metallics, and see how we go. It's dry along the edges there, but it's not dry in the middle yet. It takes about 5 days for my paws to dry. It doesn't matter what the weather is, whether it's hot or cold, it still seems to take the same amount of time to dry thoroughly. I guess it's because the paint's so thick. I've got a lot of paint on the surface. Okay, my pouring medium is 60% glue, 40% water. The black and the white I've mixed 50-50. I've got 60 grams of paint, 60 grams of pouring medium. And then these two, as I said, I did 50 grams of pouring medium and 100 grams of paint, so doubled the paint there. Hopefully it will work. But that's why I'm just trying it out on this little card, so I didn't want to waste a canvas or too much paint. And then I'm just using the global black and the global white. Yes, I didn't want to waste too much paint on this little one. We'll see how it goes. If it works, then if it's nice, then I'll go to a big one. Because I think that would look really pretty, wouldn't it? So let's put in some treadmill silicone oil. Now I've got 150 grams. Oh, look, there's a hair in there. Get out. How did that get in there? That's not even one of mine. Get rid of that. Hair's floating around in my studio today. Righto, let's do 5 drops in the silver. I wonder if I should do the metallics, or I'll have to do another experiment one day, putting oil in the metallics and not in the plain ones, and then doing oil in the plain ones and not in the metallics, just to see what happens. I'll do that now actually. Let's just do the oil in the black and the white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just to see what happens. Why not? Let's get experimental. Give that a good mix in. Alrighty. Now I didn't want the black next to the white, so I've just separated them. I think it's going to be quite a greyish painting anyway, because black and white makes grey, and then we've got the silver, which is a grey. But again, it's an experiment, so if I find it's too grey, then I can cut that down, the silver. Let's pop some paint in. I'll just do 2 layers. It doesn't feel too thick when I'm pouring it in there. It's still sitting on top. Just strange. Metallics are different creatures. They really are. You have to really play around with them and practice them. See, the white's just smooth on top, whereas the gold made a bit of a ridge on top. But yes, metallics do need to be thicker, otherwise they sink to the bottom. People think that metallics have to be thinner so that they stay on top, but if they're thinner, then they just mix in more. They disperse into the other colours and you don't see them, so they do need to be thicker, which is kind of opposite what you think, hey? I keep a tiny little bit of that black, not much left in there, but I'll just water it down and pop some on the corners. Not even sure how much paint I've got actually. I probably need a little bit more, because normally I would use about 550 to 600 grams on this size. I'm just going to make up a little bit more gold for this one. So I'm going to do, I'll put in 20 grams of pouring medium and pour in 40 grams of paint. Look at that, look how it's just pouring in. Whoa, that went 45. I'll just add another 2 of that, and yes, I'm pretty particular about the amounts of paint that go in, because if I can recreate something that works, then that's a good thing. So I like to record everything. So this is, 1 part pouring medium to 2 parts paint, and then if that works, then I've got it recorded. Let's pop a little bit more gold in since I've got it. As I said, it's going to be quite a silvery grey painting, I think, so a little bit of extra gold won't hurt. And some white. This poor cup down the end here hasn't got very much paint, as much as the others. So it's a bit different pouring on a diagonal, I found. The middle cups seem to stretch a lot, and the side ones, because you're not tilting forward, they're not moving as easily. Yeah, it was just a bit different. But I think it was a nice effect. Everyone seemed to like the diagonal pour, something a bit different, hey? Something a little bit more interesting to look at, rather than just a plain background with cells popping up here and there. Righto, so I need to, I sort of want them to come from here down to there, and there, and then there. So my leftover is just sort of going to come down like that. So I need to make sure I've got enough paint just to do my little leftovers, but this is where I'm going to put my cups for flipping. So if you're doing this, mark out where you're going to put your cups like this, because no point putting them there and there and there. It's just not going to work. You need to do them here and then have little bits left over to go down there. Now I'm just going to put some water in my black, just a tiny bit, just to thin that out. It's hardly any in there really. It's just about a tablespoon, I guess. I'm just going to pop some just on the corners here. I'm reusing these cups, and they've been sitting for about 2 days, So I worked yesterday, today's Saturday, I worked yesterday, Friday, and I did a pour on Thursday with these colours, and I just left the cups out, so they've gone a bit icky, got little dried bits on the bottom. So I really should cover them if I'm going to reuse them. I got new plastic cups. My small ones, my smaller other ones had these little ridges and they were really, really soft to squeeze. And these ones are a little bit thicker, a better quality. They make it easier for flipping anyway and dragging. I'll still use the other ones for mixing, but when it comes to flipping, these ones I think are better. But we'll see, it's the first time using them. 225 mils they are. I did spray the cups, so you can see the paint's already released from the bottom there. Righto, let's do it. So drag down and leftovers there. Oh, goodness, that went fast. Hopefully the gold's not too thin. So I probably need to save a little bit more for up here. See, when I start tilting, because I'm not going that way, I'm not going to cover this corner. The paint's only going to go that way, which means that corner's going to get missed. So I either leave it black or I'll have to put a little bit more paint on there. So hopefully there'll be a little bit left in this one. And I can pop some more there. Otherwise that corner is never going to get covered. And I don't mind the stripies with this particular technique. I think the stripes add to the overall effect. These little tiny bubbles I'm getting up. It's unusual. Don't usually get that. Must have something to do with the new paint. I'll have to try and make sure I've got enough to try and cover this corner as best as possible. I don't mind if there's a bit of black left on the corner. Oops, try not to drip. All right, now the idea is not to torch yet, to cover the surface and then torch afterwards, sort of following particular stripes maybe. Probably shouldn't have done that, look at that. What I might need that paint. So no tilting this way, I need to go that way to that corner. I'm going to hang on to this little corner here. So it's a bit tricky, you know, to try and cover everything. Might have to sort of go a little bit like this to try and fill in your gaps, but overall you want to be tilting on an angle. All right, so that's done. Turn it around. And I need to cover, put a little bit more black in just for some interest. I haven't got a lot of black. I thought I would have had more black, but I guess it's just turned to grey, which is a shame. I was kind of hoping for some dramatic black stripes like this one, you know, just to break it up, but I haven't really got that. Alrighty, let's go again. Trying to stick to the diagonal, but having to move it to cover. So if you do move it that way to cover, just make sure that you straighten your lines up again. And I think that will be fine, as long as you straighten them up again. Just need a little bit there. Okay, I think I've covered everything. It's very rocky, earthy looking, isn't it? Be interesting to see what happens when I torch it. So So I did bring the weight of the paint back because it was all down that side. So just bring it back into the middle. And you don't want to be stretching it too much, you know, tip one way, tip the other way and leave it. There's a bubble. Okay, I'm going to have to get my little torch out again, because if I try to follow a stripe with my big torch, I'd get this much covered, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to have to use my little guy. Where did I put you? Up here on the shelf. So this is just a little creme brulee torch, one of those ones that you refill instead of actually changing the whole cylinder. So I'll turn him on. Little tiny flame, it's only about that long. Right, now I have to pick where I want cells to go. And I don't know if I actually want the cells, turn that off while I'm talking, I don't know if I want the cells in that actual stripe, or whether I'll leave the stripe and have cells on the side. Might start up this end. So it's very busy, isn't it, where I've added that extra paint in. And then here it's just more flowing. We'll see what happens. I'll start up here. I'll just do a stripe through there. And then I think I'll follow this gold stripe. See what happens under the gold. And anything happening under the gold? Not so much. Maybe the gold wasn't a good idea to follow. Maybe I'll leave the blank areas like of the gold and the black, and torch in the other areas, like through here maybe. That's giving us a lot of interest. So I'll remember for next time to leave the gold. I think I did that on my other one. I left those big turquoise stripes as just a contrast, and then torched in the more layered looking colour. So I'll leave the stripes, and I think I'll just follow that one there, leave the gold alone and torch in between the gold like so. Not as reactive as my Mexican one. The cells are quite small, which is telling me that my mix is too thick. But when it poured out quite well, didn't it? Spread well. But the size of these little cells that are coming up is an indication that the mix is quite thick. If you torch and your cells come up and they're really big, then your mix is quite thin. So anyway, I don't know how I feel about that. It's not exactly what I was expecting. I think because I was expecting bigger cells. It's just different. Different to what I normally do. I need to put a little bit more in this corner here. I think what I'll have to do is go back to my global gold, because I know how that reacts with my other globals, and just see, because I don't know, I haven't had much luck with this. When I did normal flip cups, I used this and it was really pretty. Yeah, but just I think a little bit too thick, the mix today. But there we go. Little experiment. So at least I know not to do this same mix on a bigger canvas, because it just did not work. But yeah, there's that other one. See, the cells are bigger. The colours have really come through, but there's a lot of colours in that one. You know, you're not going to get very much contrast with black and white and gold and silver. It's going to be a lot of silver. But when it dries, it's going to be really pretty, isn't it? So we'll leave it at that. These are pretty here. I'll take you in for a close-up. I wish I had more black stripes through it. That would have been really pretty. guess I could just even do black, silver and gold. Maybe I don't need the white. They're pretty cells, but yeah, they're only little. But we don't always have to get huge cells, do we? I can do huge cells on my other techniques, my flip cups. So yeah, just trying to create something a little bit different, keep things interesting, experiment for you guys. So have a go at this, diagonal paws, see what you think. It's quite fun. You don't have to worry about your cells overstretching, that's for sure. All right, I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.